And now it begins, ladies and gentlemen, EDG and TOP to come into the second set. A day of reckoning here in the LPL, one where the explosive matchups are only just starting off. Welcome back. My name's Jake Osipenko. This is Barento, Raz Muhammad, and Raz. This set and the one following it is going to be absolutely massive.
It's one of those moments where you look at the calendar and you're just like, well, this had to be a plan.
It's time.
Like, this is just, they decided this day in particular had to be the day of all of the insane games. Because this week when I looked, looking ahead, I was like, ooh, we having a lot of of course, the teams that are already bumped out of the playoffs going up against each other. And you're like, if that happens, you tend to see the biggest games. So IG versus RNG later today, that one's going to be huge, our match of the week.
Match of the week, baby.
But we have to get you warmed up, my friends, because yes, RNG, IG, in the first series, you already talked about TOP going up against EDG. We have some fantastic games today.
So this coming up later, do not take your eyes off the screen for RNG and IG, but you're right, EDG and TOP has its own merit to play with as well. Both EDG and TOP, their journey has been huge, especially a team like TOP when we look at, like, the mid laners, especially with Scout and Knight. I mean, this one's just hype, just let alone in that lane.
It's big. For TOP, they blossomed early. Really, for them, week 2 going forwards, they looked incredible. A lot of it came off of Knight. Just being able to blast lanes early on, the laning phase statistic is something you already see. But then you already see Scout coming in big because early on in the split, even though EDG were ramping up, we're not necessarily having the same level of success the top teams have. Scout had been the primary focus for this team. It's been the case since last year as well.
Yep.
Scout is the most consistent player on the lineup, which is the shocking thing, because if you were talking about the old LPL heads, if Roscarin is tuning in today, she's like, wait a second, if Spawn's out there, being like, you're talking about Scout, the most consistent player. Right now, that's the case, and I feel like since week 5 onwards, the other players have really ramped up. iBoy and Ray have come in incredibly hyped up. So if you're looking at this series weeks earlier on, you don't see much significance into this one. But right now, it's the EDG and TOP is going to go to game 3.
EDG look a lot hotter there, just on the note of Scout while we are there. Yeah. The champion wheelhouse is still extending out. We very recently saw the Z mid here from Scout, their first one in the LPL. Previously, we saw a Vayne mid from Scout, so it just doesn't stop.
Kind of reminds me of Origin, because if you're watching the LEC, a lot of it comes into the flexibility you have in the mid jungle, because a lot of it from the LPL, LEC, LCK has been, how do you buff up the mid lane to be able to get the most damage out of him? But now you're starting to see players just say, okay, pick Assassins here. Kind of reminds me of Akali now. She's back on 9.5 as well.
Very flat it yesterday.
Exactly. And so what you're seeing is that Zed Karthus. You also saw Clearlove pick up the Evelynn for the first time, the reworked Evelynn.
We waited for that.
There's so much here, because that was a big proof for this team being as flexible alongside Clearlove and Scout. Scout's putting in the numbers, and it seems like they know how to play a very slow game to prop them up early.
It's only Clearlove and Scout changing their champion pool or going back to old-fashioned. Ray has changed his champion pool as well, and in this matchup, although there is hype in the mid lane, there's also hype in the top lane there. Ray looks on point, on fire, and he's picking up carries.
It's insane to say. Just from week 5 onwards, Ray has been a consistent force. This one was the best game I've seen him play on the Aatrox one. He was going up against JD. Remember, this was the first series that JD, a team that had Zoom in the top lane.
Yep.
Right now, you would have that discussion about who's the top 280 top laners in the league. Specifically, Zoom comes in alongside the Shy. And he was behind in 2 games in a row versus Ray.
By a lot.
Ray had a monstrous performance on this one. I think he ended the game with 13 kills. For now, if I'm looking into this series into the future, I would say the Aatrox is something that's still alive. The Vladimir is certainly kicking with the game times being so long. He has been a consistent force in flanks.
Yeah.
So he's been strong. And then we go on to my favorite man.
It's almost like the old versus the new. Now, I know it's not old in age, but 369 is coming as an upstart in this split.
Rookie split.
Yep.
And easily, I'd say, coming in for this one as a Rookie of the Year. This was the game where he was behind for the majority of that game, goes into a 1v1 solo kill, finds TOP a comeback lead. So 369 gets a lot of focus from XX. XX primarily goes top lane, even though he has Knight on his team.
Yep.
So that says a lot about how much faith that he can be able to come out with the big games. So this matchup is sick. Solo lane matchups are, junglers are not going to be going bottom lane. We're going to be seeing, as real Tom Kenches,
Yep.
the gauntlets will be thrown on top side.
Onto the top lane, solo kill Kings. And before,
Hell
I was
yeah.
going to ask, why does Scout only have, 5 MVPs, right? In this EDG roster, it's going up to Ray.
Yeah.
It's going up to 369 there for TOP as well. TOP have had such a good schedule, and the fact that this rookie is holding up is incredible when you're going up against Xiao Ao and now going up against Ray.
One of those rare occurrences where MVPs don't mean too much because when it's just thrown around, like for instance, right now, Knight is leading in the MVP score.
Yep.
That says a lot, obviously. If you have Knight on your team, there's not a lot of love
It's
being
hard,
shared.
yeah.
He's not going to pick it up. The skill that 369 provides, I can say handily, even though Zoom is having an amazing split for himself, that 369 is coming in as number 2 next to the Shy.
Yeah.
So for him to be coming into the split as a rookie and being able to put up games like these, start to change the meta by bringing up Renekton first and having teams play around that. Because he's not just picking these, if he's in a losing matchup, winning matchup, he gets the jungler in there and it always turns into a 2v2. Let's see if Clearlove can do it for him as well, because Ray and Clearlove will be challenging him today. Scout, iBoy, and Meiko will be rounding up the EDG lineup.
Scout saying it's okay, saying that with Clearlove in the mix and not Haro there starting off for game number 1, things are going to be okay. Over to TOP. 369 in the top lane. XX in the jungle, who's been having a great split as well. Night 9, LokeN, and of course in the bottom lane, I'm convinced that Ben as well has been a good filler in for this roster. We don't often talk about him.
For me, he's the X factor because going into the split, my biggest question for TOP was how they would be able to play a slower game in the late game. Now, in the first 3 weeks, there was no slow game in the late game. They smashed lanes. They got into the mid game, being able to clean it up around Knight. But when they got into these longer team fights, when they got into these 30, 40-minute games, they were cool and calm. And one thing you don't recognize is how much Ben is a veteranship in the lineup.
Yep.
Because across the board, it's nice to be able to talk about, hit the same narrative so that they're young players across the board, except for Ben, former player on Team WE, has been on the big stages. And so for him to be in that lineup and to be a shot caller for the squad alongside XX is incredibly valuable.
It really is, and you're supporting another AD carry who has this high potential. Now with Mystic going to be very different considering Mystic has been on that world stage, but for someone like LokeN missing out on his chance last year when a lot of people thought JDG were going to be the team to represent in that third spot, they're going up against the team that pretty much took it away from them.
It's pretty crazy, right? But, and it's happening again, EDG ramping right back into this one. They're looking so good. It's going to be TOP coming out as favorites, of course, but I don't know anymore. I said it was going to go to 3 games. I firmly believe that. Scout is having the split of his life. Ray is following up here. Clearlove has so much to work with.
There's Wrath of the Titans here. EDG still looking to cement their playoff position. TOP have secured theirs, but they want the highest seeding possible. Running into game 1 now. You look at the bans changing in 9.5 as we see Silas back on the Rift.
I'm expecting a Zoe first pick here. Remember, if you're dealing with Knight and Scout, Zoe rises up in priority with a massive win rate of 72%. So if you get to that stage between both these players, it comes a game about who picks up Zoe, who wants to be able to bait the matchup, because LeBlanc still does well in lane versus it.
Yep.
So some people would want to go into a best of 3 and say, let me try out the first game with a counter matchup and give the Zoe away, and we'll see how that ends up faring.
You're taking the priority pick of Rek'Sai off. That means EDG. Whether Clearlove was going to play that anyway, we'll see if it comes into fruition. 5 seconds. Let's see that mid lane, or let's go for the bottom lane for iBoy and Kalista.
Opens up a few support options with Tom Kench being banned away. That means they can hyper-focus on iBoy and Meiko being able to pick up the 2v2s early on. It really is a game of just strategizing, trying to figure out what the weak point of the map is. For TOP, it has been LokeN and Ben. With how strong they've been later on in the game, they've actually been having subpar laning statistics, and mostly because XX doesn't go to that side of the map.
Yep.
XX focuses so heavily towards the top side of the map that LokeN and Ben, early on in the split, have been bleeding a lot of the pressure, and it's mostly because their new role of being, take a step back, try and farm up. I think it's been faring well, but going up against iBoy and Meiko, you will get challenged.
Really good transition, because for EDG, their bottom lane earlier in the split, I remember there was some criticism for some games towards iBoy and Meiko, but towards the later end, everyone firming up.
Remember, Hope has been coming in for EDG as well. A lot of times in Game 3, you see Hope because iBoy, as talented as he is, world-class player, you expect him to come in the high-pressure situations, but you still want to temper his aggression.
Yep.
In these insane games where they come down to that one fatal team fight and he just jumps right in, you want to say, okay, calm him down, put in Hope, because at this stage in the split and at this stage of his career, you do want to calm him down.
When you have another AD carry following you there, it puts the pressure back on you. For TOP, there's more pressure in that bottom lane. The Vayne picked up there by LokeN with Galio as support. In EDG, we talked about this before, Raz. The Vladimir is locked in, most likely for Ray.
Yeah, I want to focus on the Vayne in particular, the counter pick in towards the Kalista. We saw that one when it was JD versus Sino Dragons, and a lot of it comes down to Vayne should win the matchup later on, hits final hour level 6, just goes for the all-in whenever she finds an opening. Now, a reason why I make a mention of that one was because when Imp went in the Kalista into the Vayne, isolated as per usual, gets hunted down. That's the expectation in the matchup there. Level 2-item spike is insane for Vayne, so that's what it seems like TOP is aiming for. They get the AD carry matchup that they've been wanting, and they have a support that can really highly emphasize the team fight. So let's see if TOP can get past that.
Well, they've done exactly that. Locking in the Kennen makes you think that, yes, the team fight comes first. And in the top lane there for 3-6-9, going to be a very different matchup. But we go into the second ban phase. We still don't have a jungler in this first rotation, which in the LPL has been quite rare.
It is a bit surprising. But knowing Clearlove and how large his champion pool, and when I say champion pool, effectively this patch really helps him a lot.
Yeah.
The tank champions that he's been so good on, like the Sejuanis, the Skarners, so much of that has been empowered right now. And he also showed in the last series that he's willing to play and can play very easily the Evelynn pick, which he is so famous on in the pre-rework Evelynn. Rework Evelynn, he's put a lot of work into in solo queue, but if you see his streams, yeah, he plays a lot in streams. He plays Lee Sin in streams, but he doesn't want to put that into competitive play because confidence is a major thing for him. So I want to see what he's confident picking up here now that it's gone into the second phase.
If it is the Game 1 Evelynn, remember, against BLG, that's what brought it back for EDG. That's what took it to Game 3 and the eventual win to keep EDG alive towards the playoff run. Nocturne will be the final ban out from EDG, so they're targeting away from XX, but he will have priority here if he doesn't want to save it for the counter pick.
I think TOP should look towards the Skarner option. Just because they have counter pick in the mid lane, they won't go for it. That's a big surprise for me. Remember, going into this pick and ban, I said that one of these teams would want to have a counter pick versus the Zoe. Seems like TOP says, let's just pick up the Zoe pick.
Yeah, why not?
With how strong Knight is, why not? He's hovering it. This is, I know we don't want to talk about hovers, but this one's legitimate. The only concern I have here is that there's Vladimir already in the lineup going to be going towards the top lane, idealistically. And if that's the case, you have too much AP in your lineup.
Something that's been missed all the way through, though, is a Lissandra. So surprised it's made it this far, but of course changing patch is going to hover something else.
Gotta wonder what old man Clearlove is willing to play here. This is a great composition for a Jarvin. So I would love a J4 here. The Prince of Demacia would work well with the Lissandra.
I mentioned the Lee Sin before, but it looks like the Jarvin seems the most practical here as well to deny away from XX with the composition in the Kennen, the Galio. Don't want to give that over.
Now, I just want to see what XX wants to pick here. It's very rare that you see a last pick jungler for your team. He gets to have eyes on what the entire composition of EDG has lined up for himself. So here we go.
It's been a primarily Beisheng pick in the LPL, as well as a couple of other junglers for TOP XX. A lot of the time you've seen the Jax jungle. You've seen a very unique style. For XX, and of course comes through in 9.5 with the Aatrox.
Aatrox, of course, Aftershock will be the pickup here. I wanted to see something that is definitely early game, high impact, skirmishing type, because you have such a great top lane matchup. And then if you look towards the mid lane, it's looking real good too. Idealistically, Zoe does well because she can push into the lane at level 3 going forwards. I'd say level 4, level 5 when you start getting more levels into your queue. You can get the back line pretty easily, and as the lane goes on, you have just so much poke onto what's an immobile champion like a Lissandra. So you just want to get in the face of Clearlove, stop him from impacting these lanes really early on. I expect Clearlove to look towards the bottom lane, level 2. That's how early we've been seeing EDG gank as of late, and this is such a great bottom lane to set up for that Jarvin.
I would also expect that XX be there earlier on as well on the Aatrox. Very easy to clear camps, very easy to move to the bottom side river where we've seen priority in the LPL. Another question for you, Raz.
Give it to me.
Zoe, last series we saw the spell book again. See if they see that adaptation once more for Knight.
Yeah, I've been liking the spellbook pickup just because you get more access to your more sparklings. If you watch the LCK, that's where you saw it first. Initially it was Sun and a Freak of Freaks. So I love the fact that we're seeing more diversity in that fact. But I would expect to see Airy. I think in this specific matchup you get such a large range of once you get control wards on each side of the mid lane, that you can get the poke down pretty easily. You have access to the bot lane quite frequently. Remember, electrocute is another option, but that's if you're expecting it to be a difficult lane where you're going to be skirmishing quite heavily. This is not the case. This should be a free lane for you.
If it is for TOP to follow that bot lane to look for the early level 2 gank on EDG's side, TOP will have to react. Now for TOP, they have some of the best early game stats in the league. Their best early game is competitive with Invictus Gaming.
Yeah.
KDA at 15 is insanity there for TOP. So moving into game 1, remember, EDG have some of the slowest game time next to BLG. TOP, one of the fastest. Who counteracts who in this matchup here in Shanghai? Once again, game 1, EDG TOP. I have been waiting for this for a while to see if EDG can once again head towards playoffs. The only chance that beat EDG, RNG, and Invictus Gaming.
And RNG has their own state. I don't know about IG. I think IG needs a little bit more time to be able to beat the EDG's chanting team. But certainly RNG in the venue that they have in Beijing will do it. But it's crazy that EDG's fan base is so strong, even at their weakest moments. This time around, remember, EDG are in a really precarious situation in the standings.
Yeah.
They could quite easily drop out of the playoffs, and for EDG, has never happened before.
Yeah.
So it says a lot for the competition within league, and says a lot for EDG that for how well they have been playing, consistency is key. It doesn't matter if you have 7 wins right now in the standings. You're still coupled up with BLG, Sino Dragons that we've previously seen. So tough times ahead.
It's hard to imagine people like Clearlove and Meiko who've been there for so long not to make something as historic as playoffs. But starting up in the jungle, that was an attempt at vertical jungling there coming through from Clearlove.
No one expects the manaless jungler to be starting out on blue side. A lot of the time, standard start is red side. You could go for a vertical jungling, or you can go bot side, and if that was the case, XX would have seen and his blue buff gone.
Yep.
So Clearlove lost time here, because going for that take means that he can't do his Raptor camp. You wouldn't be able to go to his Wolf camp timely in comparison. So just go straight through mid, gets up Scuttle, and maybe he looks to challenge Raptors. But he's pretty slow at this moment.
Yeah, that's right. XX is going to clear that out before he gets anywhere near the Raptors. Of course, Clearlove going back to his blue buff. Now, we talked heavily about how that level 2 gank would come into effect for EDG. So you give props to XX for denying that, especially with this hard pushing lane from EDG.
That's true. I mean, the fact that we saw him start bottom side does just completely negate the idea of vertically jungling. The level 2 gank is always something that is, like, you have that asterisk that it's very risky to look for, especially if you know that Vayne will have the way to tumble out. Both summoners are up, so nothing has been challenged in that aspect. So going for the assured, I'm on this side of the map, you have to respect my bottom lane at all times. And that's been EDG at the highest peaks when they've had Deft, going into iBoy. They've always been a team that's focused on the bottom lane. Oh, these hooks ain't landing, but still, the wave's huge.
And iBoy is looking for the Ren just to push him back even further.
Just take a look at the CS, how large that wave is, 26-1. Losing out the level 2 this early on has been so punishing for LokeN and Vayne.
Yeah, it's again happening as the Imp matchup that happened before. You see it a lot. Kalista versus Vayne, a very standardized matchup now in the LPL. But getting pushed back in, the Vayne will pick up some, but still pressure under turret. That is such a rough start.
It's more so the early pressure that, as you mentioned, the Kalista has having Halo Blades, and on top of that, certainly the Thresh.
Yeah.
Once you pick up level 2 hard to being able to contest that, what can Galio do to be able to contest that 2v2 is not possible. So even if a taunt comes through, the cleanse is there for iBoy to be able to just answer back.
As you see, one of the disadvantages to having a melee support there with the Vayne. If Ben now hits level 3, she'll be able to push up a little bit. And look at XX trying to quell this bottom lane. He's coming down fast.
And you can already see the Jarvin's doing the same. So this is going to turn into something. Aatrox just wants to be there to dissuade a dive, a possible gank, and be there for a counter gank. XX has been fantastic for his earlier series counter ganks through mid lane. Oftentimes goes mid to top, but he recognizes how poor this bottom lane has been for them. First times we've been looking for a counter gank bot long.
Yeah, both junglers level 4 as well. LokeN and Ben pushing up to the wave.
He's in.
FLICKR drags in, double knockup as well. Teleport immediately, channel to EDG. Committing hard, just punch knocks into Clearlove again. XX comes through, the damage is too great. Commitment there from EDG, and first blood is their net.
And what can you do? I mean, they did not anticipate the teleport coming through from Lissandra. The only thing TOP can do at that point is to try and challenge mid lane, fully push the wave in. But that's a huge advantage for EDG in the bottom lane, being able to pick up the kill.
The minion wave not even going to deteriorate that much. Scout will miss maybe half as he comes back in, and now we'll get a bit of turret plating too.
That's why I love high level of play, because TOP hadn't expected as much that there was going to be a play made bottom lane. Didn't expect the teleport to be coming into that ward in the bush in particular. I don't even know if they had an idea that the ward was placed there. So Lissandra definitely helped. Hey, one thing to take note of. Worst case scenario for EDG is that TOP recognizes it. They're that much closer to their own turret. But the slow is always there for iBoy and his Ren. And Meiko is always going to follow up with his flash. He didn't even have to use flash in that play. That only says that much more for EDG's early game.
Yeah, that's right. No summoners burnt, but 2 summoners burnt there for LokeN, and the CS is growing. You take away the safety net of the bottom lane in Ben, and the Vayne is still so far behind. 20 CS. Whereas mid, turret plating in that 6 CS, well, now 10, it's not going to matter too much because Scout got first blood.
That makes it so much easier for Clearlove, where he could just focus on putting the control wards onto towards the mid lane. You can already see that one red control ward from Knight on the right side of the mid lane. That's going to get cleared out pretty easily. You can see XX recognizing this, and he's going to try and push the tempo in his one winning lane.
Very smart ward though from Ray, going to spot this one out. The dive doesn't come through, of course. 369 in the comfortable laning phase has teleport with the Klepto advantage and 20 CS. Doesn't need to force anything here from Ray, who now hits level 6.
There's a lot to Ray's strength within the lane. Even in a lane that he gets pushed in pretty easily, he's still comparable within the CS. Experience definitely there. Also take note of the fact that he has Kinjal Gem.
Yep.
Just to be able to have the CDR, so he has access towards his Qs, his E's. He can be able to at least compete in the lane versus 369 and is ready for the possible dive.
With the constant pushing in as well means that Clearlove can potentially pay a visit up to the top side of the map. At the moment, XX going back to his blue, so we see a reset of the jungle coming through. Curious at this point because there's still an Ocean Dragon towards the bottom side. We still have a competitive bottom lane that is 30 CS behind and growing.
I don't expect the Ocean Dragon to be a priority here, just because TOP at least has some strength through the mid lane. Knight's been pushing in Scout. And then at the same time, like Scout's been needing time to look for a base, and iBoy and Meiko have been doing so well within the lane. They want to punish the specific lane advantage. So let's just see what Clearlove's end up doing. It's his call at the end of the day. If he can get Lissandra, who's already based right now, back in the lane and pushing, then he can find an opening towards the bottom lane. Ideally, bottom lane dive is open.
Yep.
But if he finds nothing, then he can just go towards the Ocean Dragon. All he really needs is mid lane shoves, perfect timing knowing that Zoe's back in base, so they're going to go for the safer call.
Yep, perfect timing. Clearlove level 6 as well, so see what happens after the Ocean Dragon. You get another Scuttle, which Clearlove has been on top of, and you notice at the moment that Clearlove is actually sitting about 10 CS advantage in the jungle. XX still not level 6, and early pathing recovery there from Clearlove. He wasted time in that first 2 to 3 minutes, but so far so good.
Really for XX, if he's able to take this blue buff, actually a lot of ping is going down the top lane, but here you go, bottom side of the map.
What happens in the 2v2, because the Ren's going to come out, but Ben walks away just in time, condemned back by the Vayne.
So I don't think there is going to be a dive top lane. Vladimir is far too healthy, has ultimate, and of course will have pool. Is this really XX recognizing that the dragon's being taken, can go for a blue buff take here? He's just in a tough spot right now. He should be in position to defend his bottom lane, but he's answering and not able to get a full response with getting a kill on towards Ray because Ray is not going to dive. So take a look at how LokeN and Ben recognizes this, and they have to play it fast.
Yeah, it was well read by TOP. Ping's going down on that blue buff. Clearlove is here, mixes with the Lissandra. Turret plating going to go down, but does Ben die as well? Well, they're coming back in. LokeN still level 5, Ben as well.
And Zoe had to take the long route because he didn't want to get turned on, but he still wanted to be there for Ben and LokeN if they were to get dive. But the CS advantage is huge. The turret plating's been chipped out consistently. This is hard. This is hard to look at.
Yeah.
Here we go once again.
When EDG play through that late game.
Zoe's not there. Zoe's not going to be able to make it.
So slow on the pathing again. Doesn't land there with the hook from Meiko. And that just stops the play. You can see XX is waiting behind in the rear.
But Scout and Clearlove's job is essentially being done. Hovering over, so at this point, LokeN and Ben are in full defense mode, losing turret plating, losing CS to the wave because they have to play back so far back. iBoy has a lot of cash in his pocket. He's going to be able to get to his Blade of the Rune King spike so much faster.
Man, 40 CS has grown. An insane lead for iBoy here in the early game. XX now hovering around the bottom lane, but much further out. More turret plating, more gold. The early game team being triumphed over by EDG.
Okay, Meiko's frustrating. Don't hook, don't try. Like, he's been ramping up in his demolish on tower. He could have just chipped it down and would have gotten another turret plating. Just focus on the tower as is. I think he would have been able to get that a little bit faster.
Fair enough. It's like the Morgana feeling, you know, the less bindings you throw, the better you look.
Well, I mean, even still, they're not going to try and engage on you. There's the possibility of the taunt flash, sure, but iBoy's going to get out of that one pretty easily. And what are they going to even net out of that one? So it's not significant enough. iBoy would still outtrade them. And Meiko's in a great position to, as you said, hold on to the Q if they even try to channel the taunt. You will always take down that turret plating. We're looking at a possible, like, 12-minute tower.
Yeah.
Actually looks like
this is coming through. Here we go.
It's happening.
Demolish, Kalista, LokeN gets half health just being in lane. Won't drop on this wave, but next one it's going down.
This is my favorite game.
Why is that, Rose?
I just love people getting bullied. If I woke up this morning, guess what I watched? With my cup of tea.
What'd you watch?
I watched North American Academy because it's just beautiful to watch. And I saw Mike Young just smashing the jungle matchup. I just love people getting bullied. I'm sorry, people.
It's all right.
If I see someone getting smashed in lane in League of Legends, it's something that I really, truly enjoy.
I tell you what, LokeN Ben not enjoying it. Doesn't matter if you like it, Raz. They don't. TOP struggling here in the bottom lane still.
Every winner has to have a loser. You just can't be people competing. Like, you got to be a loser.
TOP aren't normally that loser, though. At this point in the game, you go, wow, TOP, how active are they? What are they doing? Zeros across the map.
This is getting contested here. So I love this here from 369 and XX. XX recognizing the bottom lane's getting, pushed that quickly. He's been trying to stop a dive from happening, and I think he's been super successful. But play towards 369's strength. I don't think Ray wants to be able to combat this. He's completely cleared out the wave, so he can join. Here we go.
And look, Knight is nearby as well. Doesn't have too much mana, but pokes out Scout before it starts. Kennen comes in. 369, 1v3, 1 versus the world. Scout trying to escape out. One more auto is all it takes for the Hema Plague. Onto the Rift Herald. EDG disengaged. Fight comes close.
That's rough. I think that was just a communication error. 100% 369 was going to get that.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that XX, I think, went over the wall. He was just on a completely different page. He should have been able to follow up. That was going to be a kill, and they had the power to be able to take that fight. Vladimir's nowhere near enough powerful to be able to take that fight. So I'm a bit disappointed. Zoe's Q also landed. I think XX made the right call to be topside and to challenge that 3v3. But the moment it was advantageous, he moved away from it.
When him and 369, I don't think I've ever seen something like that where TOP haven't been on the same wavelength. XX has fallen so far behind in this jungle that he's maybe made him scared.
Yeah, it's very rare. I mean, it's always difficult to try and juggle around the Rift Herald take. To be able to say, when do we want to turn? Can we turn at this point? It's difficult. I mean, if they walked right on towards the Kennen, that's always going to be free. That being said, EDG's happy. They made it so the Rift Herald is no longer patient, completely impatient, reset it, and now they can reset their focus back towards this lane.
Yeah, Scout kept his
369 on the bottom side though.
Got to say, Scout kept his small stacks on the Dark Steel. Clearlove is coming down here. But iBoy still farming up. He wants that first turret. 20 seconds till plating falls, but he'll still find the first turret gold anyway at this point. TP, they swap their bottom lane to the top side, just trying to get some free farm, but it's not going to be too free. Still 40 CS the difference.
Wonder what the call here from EDG is once they take this turret down. They should try and match at all times. They don't want to be able to then give TOP. 369 wants this.
I mean, can he find it? Does have the proto belt and the orb while the fight goes on in the mid lane. EDG won't find the engage. Scout does ult, but just glanced away.
At least they stopped them from taking Rift Herald once more, but reset your lane matchups. Here comes Kalista. I think they're just going to try to go right back towards the Ocean Dragon, but they can certainly make iBoy and Meiko go top lane versus Vayne and then challenge for the Rift Herald. I don't think that they should try and trade versus TOP at this moment.
No, they don't. Well, not yet. TOP haven't started up. Ping's now going down. EDG have full vision, though. This is the thing. EDG playing around their vision line, and it looks like it's still a safe gambit. The scout pushing mid lane turret. There is nothing really going on for TOP in their lanes here apart from the top side. So Ocean Dragon versus no trade but the blue buff.
Yeah, but, you know, props here goes to Ray. Very rarely you get to see a top laner that recognizes that throughout the entire game he's on weak side. And he's able to do quite well for himself in terms of just farming here. I know he's 30 behind the top lane matchup, but he has had 3 people top lane for a good portion of the time. 2 people top lane earlier on if you're counting XX. And he's recognizing the advantage is so heavily there in favor of iBoy. And Scout's been doing well for himself too. Oh, you got hit.
Oh, that's right. Trouble bubble is out. That's all right. Now it's just Rift Herald dance once again. How low is it there for TOP? Well, they do finally get it, so that is the trade-off in the end. And XX, as he picks it up there, that's going to be a recovery Rift Herald for TOP to break open, most likely mid.
Yeah, mid would be a great push. You could also push it through bottom lane if you want to free up 369, and then he can have a run around mid lane, look for a play. I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer, but if you see how low that mid lane turret actually is, yeah, just go for it. Right now, TOP did a good enough job to double down on the Rift Herald take. Last time around, Knight made it pretty free with his poke. This time around, just nails Clearlove again. You can already see what his targets truly is.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage with just that Luden's Echo first item for Scout. A lot of talking about the mid lane matchup here. Of course, Knight being hyped up as the best mid laner in the region coming into this season. He hasn't disappointed. Putting him on his Zoe as well when Zoe has an absurd win rate here still in the LPL. He's going to show us what Game 1 has in our midi meta known as the series.
A lot of people end up questioning Zoe when it comes to her just laning. She can escape a lot of the times. I think XX has to escape from this.
Glacier Path's not going to be taken there from Scout. Does ult. XX quick on the trigger.
He wanted to survive the burst. There's just so much all in on the side of EDG. You could possibly say that he could just hold on. Even if he gets ulted by the Lissandra, he should be fine. But doesn't have Merc Tread, so he doesn't want to make that call. But back at it. I mean, Knight recognizing he could get counterpicked. I mean, Akali's back. The LeBlanc has always been dangled overhead, and it would be Scout's LeBlanc no less.
Yep.
We also saw Scout pick up the Zed, so there are so many assassin options against a champion that doesn't have an escape. So it's really just him saying it's Game 1, let's see what happens. Prop me up, you have a great top lane matchup, I should be able to get into the early laning phase, out of the early laning phase, and that has been the case.
He's got a lot of gold with Zoe as well. Wasn't nearby to get anything from that turret, nor could you, because turret plating's already gone and the turret doesn't drop either.
Look 369 on that control ward, always looking for the opening.
Will be spotted out by Ray as he exits the brush there. Ray just face checking, knows he can survive now with the Proto Belt. As he uses it, forces 369 away. And this rotation, smart from EDG, trying to force the mid lane turret.
So oppressive. They knew that LokeN was not going to be there in time, and they can just take it right here. There we go.
Meiko stands at the forefront. EDG, 5-man unit. That's their turret. That's their gold lead too.
It's always fun to see Vladimir looking for the flank player.
Yeah.
I mean, ordinarily, like in the past, it's been the tank or an Alistar. Anyone that said, okay, who's going to be likely coming to flank us? It would be the Kennen. We can deal with them through CC and we can lock them down. It's the Vladimir.
One out of Vladimir
I'm looking
for a
at
flank.
you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that extra ward. I don't need to be autoing the turret. I don't need to be on the front. I just need to be stopping you and having eyes on you when it happens.
More than the Vladimir looking for the flank. It's Ray looking for the flank, really. On the Aatrox and the Vladimir. We have seen Ray's Ord on that note as well, which I wasn't excited about, I'll be honest. I thought, what's going on here? We're moving towards playoffs, and we're seeing Ray's tank play once again.
It's just that the LPL has been a league that's so focused on their AD carries that the world really does revolve around them. It's like a different world when you see the LEC and their priorities, the LCS always trying to get the Jace matchups, the Kennen matchups whenever possible. We've been seeing a lot of Jarvin when they're trying to pick damage in the top lane.
Yep.
But for us, the jungle focus is so heavily towards mid lane and the bottom lane depending on the team that top lane says, okay, it's just a complete island. What would we need in our team fights? Well, definitely the Ornn. And early on in the game, Ornn still has some great amount of CC that you can play towards him. He gets really focused in on encounter matchups, so you'd only want to counter pick the Ornn when you're thinking about blind pickable champions. I'm thinking like Poppy, Sion for sure, even though his win rate at the moment is kind of poor.
Oh, it's awful.
But the best teams will always recognize that win rate doesn't matter. Like, the Shy will still pick up Sion because the game plan for Sion is always very clear, very vivid, that you just end up pushing top lane and ulting straight through the lane. But here comes Meiko.
Oh, Meiko does land a hook finally. Raz, I know you're happy about that, locking down with the box, 369 golden, but look at the re-engage here from EDG, forcing the flash, ignites out, 369, dies from an auto attack. iBoy flushing just to successfully get the kill. EDG 2 kills now. They open things up for the third Mountain Dragon.
Going towards the Mountain Dragon, it's going to be big. The fact that the third dragon wasn't an ocean, I'm like, my heart, you know.
We got another one coming.
Dealing with the Zoe kind of composition, it would be nice to have that. Stay on the map a little longer, regen it, the mana and HP. But Mountain Dragon, when Baron is now up, is so big. It makes it so now EDG's composition that was very clear about focusing around your AD, now Kalista has that second option where she can just go back towards a Baron buff if nothing works out. But this worked out very well for Meiko.
It was blind. Absolutely blind by Meiko.
They saw him moving in. They know the movement speed for Kennen, unless if he just randomly presses E.
He
no
could have played
reason to
tricky.
do that. But like, what was the purpose? So he knew that he had a pretty clean hook there. So great call from Meiko. Always been looking towards that bush. Now look at the bush. Control ward there from TOP. Ain't happening again. No more of that nonsense.
TOP looking to kind of upsell their vision in this game. Number one, EDG have been very clean with their vision control through River. You can still see towards that Baron, towards the next objective on the map, just still EDG having the priority there, and TOP going into the River, looking a lot more dangerous here with the one item, two item.
Oh no! So close, man.
Good dodge there from iBoy.
You always got to watch out for that. It's a 50-50 when it's the Zoe. She can either aim right or left. Shows on, obviously. EDG needs to take that first step in picking up the top lane tower. But they're going straight for the call.
Yeah, the fight. Let's not get the turret. Knight is over the wall. This is not good for Ben. Going golden here means he's more than likely going to die. Glacial pass in. Knight's still there. Surprised that Scout didn't take it, but playing safety as Ray with a 1v1 into 369. Let's go! Devour! Vampires, man. They suck.
I mean, they definitely suck. I actually just got that joke real slow.
All right, man.
At this point in time, TOP is just as slow. They're reacting so slowly to the play. You even saw Kennen move from the bottom lane to the top side of the map just to see if they can stop this from happening, but it's just a complete parade for EDG.
Yep. And after the first 20 minutes, that's EDG's time. Look at them. They don't want to stop. Knight is trying to poke on in. Scout gets low, having to leave the fight now.
And this is night and day from Week 3 EDG, a team that lacked all sense of discipline. When you saw EDG versus WE, when I VOD reviewed that one, I was like, what am I looking at? 369 was not looking at the play. You'll notice very late because his eyes were definitely on the team fight that was simultaneously happening on the top side. And get soloed out. It's just hard. He was rotating from mid to top at the same time as Ray was, but Ray's just a little bit stronger and had the vision control in the river.
Solo kills in the top lane. Clements' name a more iconic duo for a couple of things in the LPL. I'm not going to say it here, but Ray and 369 both high in the solo kills. Ray adds yet another one there on the Vladimir. And suddenly when the Kennen was so far ahead in this lane, and at 20 minutes you're saying, yeah, look, still the Kennen story. Ray just shows up huge, and now level 2 on the ultimate. Level 13 Vladimir in the middle of these fights with almost 2 items. That looks like a Zonya's coming up next.
A little artificially boosted with that last play, I think. That last play was kind of crazy, but Vladimir getting to the late game pretty easily because that bridge the early game EDG had. Mid game's looking so strong as well.
Yeah.
They want that control ward, but you can see XX is just sitting there. Please take it.
TOP 3,000 gold behind. Right, they will eventually push their way out, but yeah, go. All right, EDG waiting over the side, waiting for it to start being cleared.
But they're wasting so much time. That top lane outer turret's been available for so long. You're not going to dig deep enough vision into the red side jungle if you can't clear out that tower. You need to be able to push that extra wave. And so you see red side jungle with how large of an advantage EDG has at this point. They simply cannot jump into the enemy jungle, and it's just that frustrating. So for EDG, it's going to be an ARAM game until they do something about it.
Waiting in the brush, looking for the peak. EDG might now have to contest around the vision for Dragon, but it's still the same story.
Why are they bot side? The next Dragon is going to be a Cloud Dragon. It's far more effective to play towards the top lane tower. This makes me sad. They're a better team than this.
As you said, night and day EDG, this happens.
It's just, I mean, their early game, they were strong about that in the past. I think their late game has always been around team fighting. It's said that when you have Clearlove in the lineup as well, that the shot calls really focus around team fighting. Here's one for TLP.
How's it going to come across? XX has already popped the world ender there. Clearlove gets dragged back in with the Infernal Chains. The fight in the bottom side, though, let's look, because iBoy has absolutely dominated, and 369 still has his ulti. Remember, he can turn around, but Meiko hooks him in. Ulti needs to come out with 5 members, but he doesn't even get a chance to talk. EDG to lead the top lane 6-0 here at 24 minutes.
Clearlove still has Cataclysm too, so they can move towards the Baron and play that extra bit of baiting. Bait it for Aatrox to come in and try and challenge them. The moment they see the enemy jungle coming in, they can look for another pick.
I'm not even sure XX will get anywhere nearby. The Dragon going down fast with the one mountain here. 3K, add another 1.5 to EDG. A clean game one so far, and although indecisive in the last couple of minutes there, EDG finally turned for the play.
I mean, I'm definitely super critical. When it comes to TOP trying to challenge for this, finally it comes through. Super segmented as well, and it works well for Kalista and Vladimir, who can just take down the Galio, move on to 369. There is no backline threat. You finally see LokeN saying, okay, I see what happened in the other fight, in the other section of it. I don't want any part of it.
Baron buff's out now as well. Top lane turret still there. Raz unable to push all the way through.
Yeah, you know what it is. This tower right now.
It's MVP for TOP.
MVP.
Yeah.
Give him some gold. Gold medal. Gold wrists.
Yeah. Let him scale.
Hell yeah. I mean, he's scaling.
Yeah.
25-minute outer tower.
For a team that's 6-0, that has a 5K gold lead just about as well.
I think at this point they've named it. Scout doesn't want to kill it. Why would you? You don't want to kill Big Old Ben.
No?
Hell no.
Big Old Ben. I don't think you can call him Ben.
I can call him Ben if I want to.
No, you can't. We've got TOP Ben. You cannot call him Big Ben.
They've been killing Ben quite a bit.
They have.
Just the wrong Ben.
So it's really quite the opposite of Big Old Ben. It's Big Old Steve in the top lane, man.
All right, Steve it is.
Steve.
Oh, no, they're pinging onto Steve.
All right.
That's the most action you're going to get, is the rapid ping there. Right now, Scout.
No. We got action bottom lane. Never mind. Meiko caught out. Drop off a lance. Here we go. TOP start their fight in the final hour. That was for Meiko. 6-1, one away as Brazil is lurking here. iBoy running for his life. Clearlove the flashes on. iBoy the Infernal Chains. He hops, he skips, he jumps, but he comes right back to the start. And now with LokeN the 1v1 is Clearlove trying to disrupt the flow. XX golden, but he's going to die. Brazil eventually comes through, but it's not going to stay for long, folks, as LokeN drops number 8. EDG chasing up the glacial path. Ben, is he going to die his 4th time? Well, the flag comes from the skies, and so does Ray. Hemo playing out, no slicing Maelstrom. EDG, whomp on down to TOP. It is their game to take from here.
I was wondering where Ray was going. I was like, hold up, you're TPing in the middle of the fight? Hell yeah, Ward right there. TP's right behind the rest of TOP and is able to nail it down. Wonder how much they can get. An inhibitor with that one team fight. That's massive.
Knight does land the Troll Bowl with the inhibitor, and the damage is done. Bottom lane open here as Knight has really been the shining light of this game for TOP, and this is so uncharacteristic of TOP. We have never really critiqued their team fights, their ability to adapt in a game within itself, but TOP, their early game has been a struggle, and this is the result.
What can they do? Because this was actually a really good start from TOP. I'm not going to criticize them for looking for this pick. This was EDG going way too far in when they knew they didn't have Lissandra for the fight. So the real question was, TOP saw that one opportunity. How is EDG going to react to this one? Because the moment Lissandra finally gets Big Steve in the top lane, teleports right into the back line, suddenly that's a way too strong of a Lissandra that's coming in and really influencing the fight. TOP recognized that they had a really good call, but they were on that time limit, and it's Big Vladimir right into the back line. I've seen plays like this happen about twice, and they've never worked out. It's always been the person TPing into the backline either dying or everyone just saying, I'll go to the left. This time around, they didn't have an option of going to that direction. So it was TOP just getting slaughtered by Ray. I
mentioned the old versus the new. Ray versus 369, the rookie of the split that is setting himself up for. 369 struggling here. 0-4 on the Kennen with such an early laning phase. Ray finds that solo kill, and 369 hasn't heard the end of it.
I mean, you keep calling him old. There's only one old guy in this league.
No.
And it's one guy himself, right?
He's not old.
Old as time himself.
He's like 23, Raz.
23 on Rogue Warriors. Is that, like, that, my friend, he's close to that deathbed.
Can I ask you, how old is Clearlove?
We don't talk about how old he is.
Right. So he's not the oldest player, and he's
But he looks young. If you look at his camera, that boy looks like he's about 19.
Okay, he does.
There we go. And then you look at Huang Guy, and he looks like he should be wearing a business suit at all times.
All right, that's point taken. It's still the old versus the new. Skill. No, we can't even do that.
Yeah, you keep trying to force it,
yeah,
my friend.
I know.
But you know someone has already had that one copyrighted.
Yeah. Look, Vayne, take it as you will. It's a dominant top lane performance here in this game on the Vladimir, no doubt, which time and time again we've seen some huge flanks from him. Level 16 now.
And I wanted to see more than just moments from Ray. Because that's what we got last year. That's what we got this early on, like first 3 weeks of this year, was moments. Consistency was never a thing. Discipline has always been in question.
Yep.
But then we just saw moments, flash of brilliance when he went on for insane ultimate plays, crazy one-on-ones, solo kills. You're like, you know what he can do. But you never see it in a consistent basis. But then week 4 onwards, it was just a completely different Ray.
Especially when he was left on an island this game. Ray was left to fend for himself in this as a result.
Much more calmer play. It always comes down to what the effect a coach, a staff can have for a team.
Yep. And
it really feels like hard starting to come into it. And a lot of what they had last year is coming back. Here comes the Sleepy Trouble on towards Thresh. Can they double down?
TOP can still turn this. Knight has a lot of damage there. Almost level 16 on the Zoe 2. Paddle Stars and Trouble Bubble combo. There's still something to watch out for here if you're EDG.
Now I feel sad if I'm TOP here because EDG can just play a lamer game. They know that Baron's coming up in 20 seconds and there's nothing else you can respond to this. They can't be like, oh, an Elder Dragon for... No. It's another Cloud Dragon up there. So TOP is forced now to play towards their own red side jungle, and now that Big Steve is gone in the top lane, they, EDG can put in a lot of deep wards. Currently have a few as well.
Yep.
Clearlove is looking at them.
Clearlove poked his head through before. Not going to take Trouble Bubble this time. Look at where Ray is, though. This is another potential flank. The pings are going out. They're saying, where is this Vladimir?
Hit him. Just always threatening. Just showing you that he can do it.
Oh, wait a minute.
Get a close-up.
And look, the Baron's up now as well. This is horrible timing for TOP, but so nice for EDG.
Surprised EDG, a team that's always been real good with timings. Haven't just started on the Baron right now. There we go.
They go a couple seconds late, but it begins.
But now the Kennen has some time, yes. Teleport, if they get a ward on this play, now XX is looking for it. You already see Kennen's teleporting. He's ready for the fight.
All right, let's start it off then. For TOP, it seems like the miracle fight needs to come through. With the inhibitor down bot, this could be it.
But look at the, you already mentioned the inhibitor down. The super minion waves are already coming in when Kennen committed to the play. So TOP are now forced to send someone back, someone without teleport. EDG can pick up this Baron easily.
And you can leave Ray mid. He's got the level over everyone on the side of TOP. He can stay there, dissuade. As the bottom lane, LokeN has to come in now for 5-on-5 comes through.
Let's see if it's a smite steal.
No AD carry. We'll just ruin it.
Uh-oh, they see him.
Scouts over the
alert.
Wall. Level 16. Bubbles on. Golden. 3k health.
Ulti.
Here comes Hema Plague. Ray join the fight only onto 1. They join on in. Ren takes the Baron buff, but TOP, the fight isn't theirs. The Slicing Maelstrom onto 3. Finally, 369 gets a good ulti off, but he's just so far behind. 3 items means nothing in the middle of this fight. And EDG, Baron, clean pick. And finally, the nail, ready to slice down.
That's a set play. That's a play for EDG where they had nailed everything down, had the vision on a Jarvin, or at least a XX in this instance, that even if Aatrox found his way into the pit, what happens there? You're not strong enough for the fight. The Vayne had to have the long travel from the bottom lane. So EDG recognized they can pick a fight no matter what. They were ready for it.
Ready to finish the game as well, Raz. If I've seen clean EDG, if I ever talk about it, I will talk about this game.
Hell yeah.
Putting the inhibitor in the mid lane, down. Putting the inhibitor in the bottom lane, where's it going to go? It's going down. The base is open, and EDG with Baron buff, looking for the top lane as well.
Just a tip for everyone out there, if you're having acne problems, or if you're just talking about what should I do in the shower, all you need to do is watch this game. You don't need to even touch that. That's the trick to hygiene. Simple hygiene, watch this game, 33 minutes. You don't have to really see the clean ending because I'm just putting that out there as an asterisk. Yep. Maybe the game doesn't end as cleanly as it started, but it's keeping me nice and clean.
11-1 is Hugh Jackman clean. I tell you what, there's another inhibitor coming up here as well, and you wonder how he deals with his problems. Well, as simple as that. 3 inhibitors are down. Let's go. EDG know that the last defense here from TOP might not be strong enough, and I say might with a 99% chance of being right.
Now TOP is going to recognize what it's like to be on the Apollo space mission. They're just sitting in their own nexus trying to figure out, like, we're really getting suffocated. How the hell do we fight back? I'm sorry, you're deep in space. There's no way you fight back.
Start it now.
Oh, wait a minute.
There, TFB, let's go. They may have found Scout, but minions are just barreling down that Nexus turret. Is getting low, the flayback. Hexx doesn't even hit anyone, nor does the trouble bubble. Blocked by a minion as Ray comes in simultaneously. XX low and no ultimate to spare. EDG looking to end the game without even the team fight. First Nexus turret down. Second one, the minions are coming in, and EDG just looks so clean.
This looks like just an image that you would have in shadow boxing. How to play the most perfect game in League.
Laid away, 369. No ultimate again. TOP cleaned out. They've done this to multiple opponents. And now the taste of their own medicine bites them right on back in game one from EDG.
That one was shocking. But it reminded me of one thing. EDG, when they're at the most disciplined and they can play through their AD carry, they feel unstoppable. For TOP, this is for them a little bit more tragic in the sense that you still have a best of 3. I still expect this to go the distance, but they have to think about their bottom lane a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because LokeN in the past has gone towards any AD carry he's wanted. In any matchup, they can go and scale for team fights. Doesn't really matter. Earlier on in the split, he's died in 1v1s, but they never really got punished after the case because it was still Knight 369 having the leads, and the enemy team has never been able to just double down on that kind of an advantage. So I wonder what TOP is going to think.
With that bottom lane, it's just insane. Just coming, sorry to interrupt, coming to that point of like the Kalista versus Vayne once again. I know Imp saw both sides of that matchup. I know many bottom lanes have experienced that firsthand. It just looks so potent towards the Kalista.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to the support pick as well. I think one thing to recognize is that the Targon's nerf is starting to become a little bit more relevant here in 9.5. Tank support really can't keep you topped up, especially if the harass is coming through under turret as well. And Jarvin was so focused on that lane. It wasn't the level 2 gank that we were talking about. He attempted to vertically jungle, and then he didn't see it as a factor, but he always pathed towards it as an option. The wave was always building up, and Lissandra was always there. So if I'm TOP, you have two options. You either go towards a double teleport composition, so you'd say, okay, we'll ban Zoe. We'll either pick up the Lissandra, maybe something that has a little bit more support for the bottom lane, or we just pick for bottom lane matchup and say that we're going to actually forego the Galio. Or if we do pick Galio, pick the Kalista Galio. So Kalista definitely rises in priority just because she makes so many matchups a winning matchup.
Yeah.
Another good matchup that I want to see a little bit more is actually going to be the Xayah and Rakan, with the Rakan getting buffed as well.
True. That's
something that I want to see. I wonder what LokeN's going to answer back with.
Xayah's looking good with crit changes as well earlier in other patches there. For Xayah, good win rate in the LPL with the Rakan. I want to see that too. Game 2 coming up right after this. EDG and TOP.
是在做梦啊，清了。就是跟你说我上血洗你，
只要我们不输，我不会输的。
哎，他针对我，不想玩了。
怎么有点小紧张啊？
我也是，
我也有点，怎么回事啊？
我有点小紧张。
深呼吸，深呼吸。
哦，这波出来的，这波出来的，就这波，就这波，看我可以吗？看我，看我，看我。
可以。
AD 没闪，AD 没闪，我先退。你们看。辛德拉没大，
辛德拉空大了，AD
没闪，AD 把 AD 杀死，把 AD 杀了，赢了。
辛德拉空大了，没闪，辛德拉没闪。
来闪！
辛德拉没闪，因为来闪了，能一波吗？可以一波吗？
可以一波。来，先走，这把翻了。
等水晶。
OK nice。
我们直接越塔，包赢了。
可以，我们往这边靠，看。走，来！AD 没闪，我三牛头。AD 死了，还有一个，来上，
帮我听他，来上，
这都能翻，
来上，
这赢了吗？
可以，我这都赢了，
是在做梦啊，清了，
来上，
打得好，兄弟们打得好，
我上来要么爆 C， 要么爆炸。
可以，
我希望你是前者。
那我跟你讲，我这样要么10杀，要么10死。
可以。
他们开了，
帮 AD，先帮 AD，OC。
，LC 死了，LC 死了。
没事，上牛，牛死了。
正面没有。恶加特，一波。
赢了。
一波。
AD 看 AD 杀了他。
哎，一波，能杀吗？
不杀。还有春哥。
一波 ，nice， 下一把，加油！
哎，踢！
我可以打，杀割裂，
可以接团。我干出吸血鬼了，吸血鬼没闪。
吸血鬼杀一下。
这边看我。辅助。再来一个，看 AD。
nice， 一波。nice。
打了一颗，是不是跟你说我上血 C 你那个？
我们往后拖，他们真的可以，
随便赢，往后拖真的随便赢。
是的。
听我说，慢一点，过去，我还要抢机会，
我还有一个眼。
离不牛3000。
哎，来看一下，我们在这儿。
你们冲！
打，你去打。不要进去，就这样。
啊，就这样。
音普你要。
音普，你去打上面的这个，没事。
可以打。
打中！打路线，打！
打。
没事。
可以。
是。
没事，他们打不了大龙。
哇，不行，他们出来还要逼大龙的，真的。
不是我们逼大龙，我们开，只要我们不失误不会输的。
打了，慢一点，要慢点。
不用去。
就痛没有女妖。
要去。
打！我们打！没事了，打！赢了，一波。
nice，
中了一波了。
可以。
一波。没杀。nice。
对不起，兄弟们，今天我心态不稳。
没事，我懂。
突然发现我能用的英雄真多啊，好厉害哦！不像某些人啊，只会玩一个卡莎。不要像某些人，你直接可以点名道姓了，你这个太明显了。哎，他针对我，教练，不想玩了，害怕。
哎，你说。
把我听到队友声音调小一点。
好的。
又不想听队友说话。不想听队友说话。开始了。
不想听你的。
你们太能笑了，影响到了我。
没事。冲！
来吧，
加油！
打楼！好，拦住！
我看，
瞎子来不了。
好，
救一下我！
哎，开到了！
开了！冲！雷子没闪，能上我吗？开雷子，下路可以一波，
中了，
他没闪，
中了吧，下路线快没了，一波中了，啊，来吧，一波吧，
别秀了，中了一波，
来中了，快看，
有救赎吗？天直接加速，
没有，来一波，来，下一把，别激动，别激动，
飞了，我再来
，10秒 1Q，
先走，没闪，瞎子没闪，先走，我有果实，
来，
看神女，刘金忠看神女，
哎，我有电没救神女。
哎，直接看，神女没闪，我追上面，那上面去上面，瞎子要看瞎子，等一下，我还跟是闪现，我把他顶倒，来，走，我死了，没事，慢慢来，不要着急，
再集中，
我
真的集中，
瞎子在这边，可以吗？
瞎子，知道我在。瞎子，慢点，
我不会死，瞎子死了，我扛 AD 了，他们吃了 ，AD 没闪，慢点，慢点，我死了，打鳄鱼，一波，来了，接了，去，一波，接了，一波，拆家，别杀人，真的别杀人，来，
耶，OK。